Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to test out the new Tati Beauty Blendiful. If you guys don't know, these are velour puffs that you can apply your creams, your liquids, your powders with on your face. This isn't something new. This is a powder puff that she kind of created to be her own and what she saw that she needed in the industry. A few things I want to talk about before we get started. I was watching a few videos on the Blendiful, mostly that Tati had put out herself. If you don't know, Tati is a huge YouTuber. She does so many good videos, so many different reviews. And she came out with this product, which is a second product from her cosmetics line. The first was an eyeshadow palette. I have yet to try that, but possibly in the future I do want to try that out as well. But anyways, this is a velour puff. So let's open it. It's a cute little bag. It comes with 2 puffs. So if you don't know what a puff is, this is a puff. It's a velour puff. How many times can I say puff? It also comes with a smaller side, which is a little more stiff and dense. You can see the difference in size here. So basically what I want to do today is test out this puff on one side of the face and then try my other puffs on the other side. This is the Laura Mercier brand, and also to replace the small one, I'm using my Givenchy puff. So already off the bat, I can feel a difference in both of these. The Laura Mercier is a little more thick, and this is kind of like soft and squishy and thin. Something I want to talk about, it's like, I feel like people are harder on brands that were made by like influencers or anyone on social media, celebrities. I feel like they kind of like pick them apart as opposed to like huge brands that we know and love for years that are in like Sephora, Nordstrom. Like, people aren't as hard as like Tarte or MAC or Charlotte Tilbury as they would be on, let's say, like KKW Beauty or Tati Beauty or, you know, anything that an influencer has to do with. People do that a lot with like Jaclyn Hill every time she launches something. I don't know. I understand where people, they kind of feel like, oh, they want to just get rich quick and they're an influencer, they don't know what they're talking about. But someone like Jaclyn Hill, someone like Tati, they have a huge background in makeup and makeup artistry, cosmetics, so they would know what they're talking about. Someone else, on the other hand, like, they'll be like a fitness influencer doing a collab with a makeup brand. It's like, yeah, you wouldn't really know what you're talking about, right? Like, so I can understand that sense, but I feel like people are so hard when an influencer launches their own cosmetic line. Like, they just want to find anything to pick it apart, and I don't know, I don't really like that, because just think of yourself. Think of you someday. What if you launched a business and then someone picked you apart and said this is trash, they just want to get rich, blah, 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 and you would spend, you know, day and night trying to perfect your craft and perfect your product. I don't know. I just don't like that. People, their reaction to this, I just didn't understand, because like, this is a powder puff, okay? There's a puff in the industry that, you know, you can find at Makeup Pro stores. It's a different brand, but it's the same size, same shape, and it's close to the price point. I want to say you get like 3 for $15, and this was $18 for this puff and this puff, okay? Now, at a makeup supply store, it's a small brand. I believe their brand is Forever Puff. So I'm not saying she copied them. I'm just saying, like, look at Laura Mercier. They have these. Makeup Forever, they have these. There's disposable ones I used to use in my makeup kit. Like, I don't want to rant here, but like, my point is, it's a velour puff. The everyday consumer, people that just purchase makeup or they love doing makeup like on themselves, they wouldn't necessarily know how to use a puff. So to them, maybe this is like revolutionary. I know Makeup by Ariel, he's been starting a trend, and also Makeup Mario, they've been starting trends with like bringing the puff back. But it's not really bringing the puff back. They're just showing the normal everyday person how you can apply makeup with a puff. Like, for example, if you go to makeup school or you're a freelance makeup artist on set, we have disposable ones of these puffs, and you use them mostly for touch-ups, use them for baking, whatever you want to use them for. But for example, on set, I would have one of these that's disposable. They're super, super cheap. They come in a bag, and they're like individually wrapped for your kit. And you would take a translucent powder and you would load it on the puff. So you'd put a whole bunch here, and then you would fold this. I don't know if you guys can see because it's white, it's very hard. Let me show this one. You would put all the translucent powder here, you would fold the puff, and you would shimmy it in, shake it like this, and you would basically just load the entire puff up with translucent powder. So if you're on set on like a music video or a movie or a TV show, if the person got shiny, you would just pat, 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 and you would touch them up. Very, very easy. You can keep the puff for that person. Like, for example, you'd write on the outside of the bag that held the puff their name so that, you know, you wouldn't cross-contaminate and use someone's puff on somebody else. Whatever. Like I said, I don't want to rant, but I just want to say, like, she didn't claim to invent this, so people that are being so crazy about it and saying, like, you didn't invent something new, like, okay. She also didn't invent an eyeshadow palette, but she released an eyeshadow palette. That's what she wanted to do. It's her brand. So I just think that, you know, it's very innovative for her to try to bring this to the everyday consumer and, you know, make it the size she wants, the shape she wants, the softness she wants, the texture she wants, everything. So I'm stopping my rant. People are putting their hard-earned money and all their time, all their energy, all their effort. They're putting their whole life into like building their brand. So don't tear it down. Like, if you don't like the person, you don't like the brand, you don't like what they're doing, that's fine. Just, how about you just don't say anything? Okay? Okay. So let's get into this. What I want to do is, like I said, have my face with a Tati puff, and I'll use a small one as well for like little areas, or I might just use this for powder. We will see. And then on the other side, I want to compare it to the Laura Mercier puff and the Givenchy puff. They are a little bit different in texture and softness and thickness and all that, but I just want to like try half to show you guys that, like, if you can't afford to get the Tati one, you can go to the drugstore, you can get a regular puff, you go to a beauty supply store, get a puff, whatever. I just want to compare and show you guys how it works. I'm curious to test it out too. I'm so excited to like have something new to bring to my routine, and we're going to see how it works with all the powders and creams. And so I want to mention, if you use a liquid primer, a hydrating primer, she says that you can just apply that with your hands, but if you use a pore filling primer, like a thicker primer to fill any texture, lines, pores, you can use the puff with that. I normally don't use a primer, so I'm not going to use that, but it's just something that I want to show you guys. If you do want a good pore filling primer, the Smashbox Photo Finish Pore Minimizing Primer is like one of the best. For my foundation, I wanted to use my Too Faced foundation because I want to use something that I'm very familiar with. I know how it's going to set. I know how it looks on me normally with my brush or my beauty blender. You know, I don't want to try like a foundation I've just started using with the puff and then maybe I don't like it, but it's not the puff's fault, it's the foundation's fault. Get it? So, I'm just going to use my Too Faced Born This Way. This is the shade Warm Beige. Same shade I always use. I don't know why I have to look at it. So I'm going to put this on a little cap, and I'm going to basically just like load the puff. So I'm going to use the wider side to do my foundation, and I'm basically just going to smear it all in. Smear it. But no, I just want to get it like all on the puff. So she says to swipe it first, kind of like spread it out, and then you can go ahead and like pat to blend. I've actually never used a powder puff to put on liquids before. Of course, I've used them in my kit and on myself. Sometimes I like to bake with my smaller one under my eyes, but I've never actually used it for liquids. So I'm super curious to see the coverage and how everything blends. I'm gonna get a little more. This time I'm gonna try applying it straight to the puff, see if there's a difference. It feels so funny, like, feels like you're like exfoliating your face with something, but you're applying your makeup. I'm trying to figure out if it's giving me the same amount of coverage that I normally get. It's kind of fun, to be honest. You're just like beep, 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 beep. It's very gentle too. Like, I'm like rubbing on my eye, but I don't feel it tugging or anything. I think it blends so nice. See if you guys can see. It looks super flawless. I don't really see any difference in like when I use my beauty blender or use a brush. I think the finish looks the same. If anything, it just looks more blended. I think it gives me the same amount of coverage as well. So that is this side. So now let's just take our Laura Mercier puff. The thing about this is, like, this is a very different texture because this is made for translucent powders. So this is kind of like more dense and thicker. This one is super, super flexible and like really velvety. So we shall see. Let's do this. I'm ruining my Laura Mercier puff. I definitely can already see a difference between this and the Tati one. This to me doesn't like blend as well. This looks super blended and like sunken in. This one kind of looks like I'm just swiping and it's just sitting on the surface. So there definitely is a huge difference, just already I can tell. I also feel like this one absorbs my product more because like I said, this one is thicker and it's made to load translucent powder in to bake and touch up and everything like that. So I definitely can see a difference. Okay, so just comparing the two sides and comparing the two puffs, this one definitely did perform better, the Tati one. It's just a lot more gentle. It blended it a lot smoother. It didn't pull on my face. I didn't really feel like I was like rubbing anything on my face. It felt really nice. This one, however, the puffs are not comparable in the sense where they're made to do the same thing. The Forever Puff brand would be comparable to this, but I just wanted to like test this one out to show you guys the difference and that this is not just a simple powder puff. Like there's different elements to this. It is super custom. Like I said, there is one other brand, but like she didn't invent it. She didn't say she invented it. So I'm just showing you guys that it's not the same as a generic puff. This is my first time trying this and trying this with liquid as well. So we're learning together, but I definitely think, I mean, they look similar. It's just like liquid, but as far as it performed, I would say this one worked a lot better. So next, I want to do my under eye color corrector. This is Charlotte Tilbury under eye corrector in the shade 2. I'm going to use this. I normally just use my finger for this, but I do want to try the puff. I'm going to just get a little edge. Also, you guys can flip this, bend it, do whatever you want to it. So if you need a little edge, you can do this. I'm going to just take my color corrector and stamp it here. I just love how soft this feels on my face. It feels really nice. Like I'm blending, but I'm also giving myself like a mini massage. There is like a little bit of the fur. Is it called fur? It was just one little thing, but it's new. It sheds. Just like a new makeup brush would shed, this sheds. Honestly, I love how this blends creams. I'm kind of obsessed. Obviously, this isn't sponsored. I bought this with my own money. I waited to film today till this arrived in the mail. It literally got here an hour ago or less. And I think this is totally worth it. And I'm actually excited that brands that, you know, have owners that are makeup artists are educating people on like the proper things on how to be like a real makeup artist, because a lot of people just teach themselves. A lot of people watch like makeup gurus here on YouTube that aren't makeup artists and never were makeup artists. So like some people just don't know like pro tips, you know? Also, my husband had the idea that I should do a video on like makeup artist pro tips for the everyday person. So if you'd want to see that, leave me a comment down below as well. But I think that applied that beautifully. Looking up close in the little mirror, it just looks really smooth and even under there. I'm going to use the same little tip on the Laura Mercier sponge. And let's see if this one does it too. I can already tell it's like picking up a lot more product. Do you see the difference? I can already see a difference. That's just sitting on the skin versus this one blended into my skin immediately. This one is just kind of like sitting there. This is not even comparable when it comes to the under eye area for using this corrector. This one just like pushed it on my skin and it just sat there. It was not blended like this one. And I feel like I'm having to use a lot more product to get the same effect. I almost like don't even want to complete this side with this puff because I'm just like so excited that the Tati puff works so well, but I do want to compare it and show you guys. I think it's fun to test things and compare them and see what you like better, or like prove to yourself, prove to other people this one's better than this one instead of just telling you. So next we're going to do our concealer. I'm going to use my Too Faced Born This Way in the shade Light Beige. And you know I like to go a little heavier on my concealer, so I'm going to do it the same way I normally do it. I like to come down in the V, give that highlight and lift. Let's take this and let's just use the pointed side right here, and you can kind of like put your fingers through it and then squeeze it, like she calls it like a little taco, but you're just like folding it in half. And I'm just gonna pat this. Again, this feels like it's like a blanket on your face. See, there is like little fuzzies here and there, but it's like a new makeup brush. If you wash it, it's not gonna happen. It's just, you know, shedding in the beginning. I don't mind it. If you mind it, just wash it first before you use it, I would recommend. If you guys know the brand Barefoot Dreams, they sell it at Nordstrom. It's like little cozy robes and blankets and like little cardigans. That's what this feels like. It feels like I'm rubbing my robe on my face, which is a nice treat. I'm trying to think time-wise, would this be quicker than my beauty blender? I would say it's about the same. But she did mention in her video, which I think is a great idea, if you're traveling or like you're doing your makeup on the go and you don't want to take a lot of tools, this would be great to do all your stuff with, because with your beauty blender you can do all your creams, all your liquids, but some people do their powder products with the beauty blender as well, so it's just like a preference thing. You'd probably just want to try both, see what you like better. I would recommend this to someone who, you know, does a full glam. I think if you wear natural makeup, you still obviously could use it, but I don't think you would find like the value in it as much as someone who does a full beat with a million different, you know, cream products, liquid products. And what I'm doing is I have it like my fingers through here to hold it. I have it folded in half, and then I use my pointer to apply the pressure, like press down. I like it because I can get around the nose area. Sometimes with the beauty blender, I feel like I'm just like dabbing it like this on top, but I can like really get in the corner here. Oh my god, guys. I got so excited that I did this side with this. I just love it. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's finish it with this one. Let's see how this is doing. Also with this, when I go in and reapply right now, I can feel it like being wet. I can feel that it still had the product sitting here. So when I'm blending, it feels like moist, if that makes any sense. Whereas this one, it felt dry as if nothing had ever been on it. So that's something else to think about. I know I didn't do the whole blending with this. I'm sorry. I got like really excited. And I'm just talking, so I was distracted. But let's do the center of the face with this then. Yeah, there's not like a huge difference in the two sponges so far that I've seen. I just think that this one would work better for liquids and creams. If you want to do something that could do liquid, creams, and powders, this one is like super amazing for powders. That's what I've always used it for baking and setting the face. But it's not doing a terrible job. I still look the same on both sides. Just the experience and how well it blends, how easy it blends, how much product it absorbs, I can see a huge difference in that. Before we move on to our powders, there's a few more cream products I want to use. So I want to test out my favorite liquid contour. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand in the shade Medium Dark. So I want to see how well it blends this out, because this blends out pretty easy on its own, but like something this dark, I want to see if it, you know, will still look as good and if it's still going to keep the sharp edge. I'm going to put this on this side first. And let's see. I don't know how long it's going to take me, so I don't want this side to dry. I'm going to take the wider end. I'm going to fold the same way, but I'm going to use the length. And I'm just going to dab this like this. I'm just pushing this into the skin and kind of going upward so that it gives me that like lift. This blends super easy. I really like how this looks actually. And then I can just move to the temples here and just blend this. So all I did was like dab this and it blended it for me. I love that. Okay, let's try the other side with the same contour wand. Oh, also I didn't mention, this one I felt like gave off more lint than the other one, but again, you wash it and it's fine. I'm gonna do my nose like I always do. And we'll see how this goes. I don't know. I'm scared to use this puff with the contour, but we'll see. I'm doing the same motion of folding it in half. Seems to blend the same. Again, the other one, you can just feel the difference in the texture, how the Tati one is like really, really silky and soft. But this blends the same. Again, the texture of the Laura Mercier one is for translucent powder. So, you know, it wasn't made to use for liquids, but it is working well. I could just, tell a difference. I'm going to blend the center of the face with the Tati one just to see. I don't know, it's so funny because it just feels like I'm blending my face with a blanket. But I do love the precision. Like, with the Beauty Blender, you can't really get, like a really precise application as far as like the nose contour or like around here. I do love that I can just like fold it and use my finger, because like for contour, for example, right here, the Beauty Blender would just spread this out, whereas this is, I'm just tapping with my finger and it's blending. But if I was to use my like raw finger with like, this not on it, the oils on my hand and the heat from my finger, it would pick up the product and not all of it would be blended. For the last cream product, we're going to do the Charlotte Tilbury Highlight Wand in the shade Spotlight. And I like to just dab a little bit here, 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 and here. I'm going to take the little smaller tip that we did the concealer with, so I don't put that contour color here. And I'm just tapping this. This looks really good. I do think that it blends really easily, like pretty quick. I don't know if it's quicker than the Beauty Blender, but it does blend really fast. I haven't tried it off camera, so I'm sure off camera I'd be a lot quicker, but I really like it. It blends super nice. It looks really good. So let's do the other side. I'm going to just flip this around because you see how dirty it is. I'm going to use this lighter side because I don't want to get the contour shade, like I said, up here. That's why this one is good, that it is a huge kind of like egg shape, triangle shape. There's so many different corners and areas you can use, so you can basically do your whole face with it and not have to like flip it over or worry about cleaning it. This one blends, but I don't feel like the edges are as seamless. I feel like I can still see where I applied it. And I almost feel like it I don't want to say it wipes it off, but I do feel like it absorbs a little more product just because it's made for powder. I'm going to apply a little more because this one looks kind of better. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I can tell in person of like how well it's blending the edges. That's fine. It's not a huge difference, but I don't know. It's hard to compare, like I said, because they're made for different things, but essentially this was always made for powders too. But it's looking okay, but I definitely prefer the blend on this side. Okay, so that's it for our liquid and creams. Now let's jump into powders and test it out. At first I'm going to set my under eye like I normally do, because I tend to like crease up really bad through here. I'm trying to think if my coverage looks less. Like this side definitely looks like I have less coverage under my eye. I don't know if you guys can tell. And then also, I think that it looks less than when I use a Beauty Blender. It's not bad at all, but like I'm super tired and my eyes are really dark and they're like a little sunken in right now. I'm not sure what I would prefer for concealer. I would probably test it again, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. But let's see. So I am going to set my under eyes like always with my MAC Studio Fix in N4. And I'm going to try her little smaller puff. It is a little more dense. So I think I'm going to use the bottom of the heart. And I'm going to fold her. And I'm just going to like swirl it like this in a circular motion. And it's all on there. And I'm just going to stamp it. I always love actually stamping the under eye powder with my Beauty Blender or a puff, because I like the coverage that it gives under there. I like that this is very small and I can fold it and like I can make it do what I want. I can come up on the sides of my nose. It fits really well under the eye, which I love. And then I love that I can go this way, and then when I'm here, I can turn it and go this way. I'm going to take my Givenchy puff. I know you guys have seen me use this before. I like using this to bake around my eye area. So I normally use it with a translucent powder. I don't know if I've ever used this one with my pressed powder, so we'll see. I can see a difference here. And where this is folded, the ripple folds didn't evenly distribute the powder here. Whereas this one was super like flush and smooth. So I can tell that already. It's good coming up to my nose. Again, it's not a huge difference between the two puffs. I just would say the Tati one is a lot more flexible and goes on smoother. Another thing is if you're using a puff and it's not translucent powder, like for example, this is the pressed foundation, it is going to look heavy and you are going to still have to dust it off. So that's kind of something that I probably don't like because I prefer just setting with this. So sometimes what I like to do is either go straight in with this with a flat brush. I'll show you guys. This MAC flat brush. Or I like to set with the translucent powder to make sure it's all set and there's no like moist spots. And then go in with this for more coverage and just stamp this. I don't know if I like the puff like this. I would probably like it if I baked and use a translucent powder with the puff. So I'm just now going to take my brush and just kind of like wipe this away. Just to like kind of, I don't know. There's just more on the edges, so I feel like it's a lot of powder. It probably will look better once I use my setting spray to set everything. Now let's just set our whole face. What I'm going to do is use the Jaclyn Luminous Powder. This is a shade Carrots. I'm going to set my whole face with this. So it does give you a luminous glow. And it kind of airbrushes everything. I've showed this here on my channel before. So I'm just going to put a little bit in the cap and kind of just like shake it around to get even. And then, let's see. I think I'm going to flip her over. So I'm just going to tuck it like this. Can you guys see? Hello. I'm going to just tuck it like this and just flip it. So now the ribbon's on this side. Obviously the name is here. But that way I can use this side for powders and there's no liquids here. I don't think that's necessary because when I touch this, it does not feel wet. So I feel like it just blends it. But we're going to see. So I'm going to take this. And I kind of want to use this area so that I can go all on my face. And I'm just going to load it up with this translucent powder from the lid. And I'm just going to tap. And I am like rubbing. I'm getting my product like this. Because or else it'll be like little chunks. So I'm just setting like this. Again, like puffs are made to set with translucent powder. So this is not like anything new. Groundbreaking that it works for this. But I just set my face. I'm going to use a Laura Mercier one. Let's see. I'm going to flip her around as well and use this side. And I'm just going to press in. You guys, if you drink, you should play a drinking game. And you should drink every time I say puff in this video. I don't drink, so I wouldn't play that game. But okay, there's like no difference in setting with the puff. I feel like it's whatever. I'm seeing a lot of texture through here. I don't know. I need to start using like a primer with like a, I don't know, like a pore filling primer. I should have tried today, but I do see the texture and I don't know if it's normally like this or if it's just like this with the puff application. So I will have to try it, you know, again. Like I might try my brush or my beauty blender and just kind of compare and see if the texture is the same. Overall, I'm not sure what I prefer yet, like if my beauty blender and brushes or the puff, but I definitely prefer the Tati puff over the Laura Mercier puff for the creams at least. So now I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder and I want to just mattify through here where the pores are larger because this powder that I set my face with does have a sheen to it. So I'm going to just take the same tip that we used, swirl it around my powder, and just press here. It applies a lot. So yeah, okay. So maybe don't use a lot. Oops, I almost did that side. I'm just trying to like mattify where I want. The powder definitely does get packed in there because when I hit it like this, more powder comes out. Let's try the Laura one. Not as much product gets picked up, but it is there. I feel like I'm just loading my face up with powder. I definitely think it applied my under eye setting powder a lot heavier because now you guys can actually see the pink undertone, whereas before I don't feel like it was that noticeable when I apply it with the brush. The good thing about this is I feel like it's so gentle that like if I feel like I have too much powder right here, I feel like I can kind of blend it like this. And just kind of like tap it. Use a clean side, for example, here. And just like get off the excess. And it seems to like not be removing it, but getting the excess off of me, if that makes any sense. Our next step is bronzer. And I'm not sure if I want to use the puff for this or use a brush. I just don't know how a puff would apply my bronzer. Like cream contour, okay, I could understand, but like a bronzer? Okay, let's try it. Whatever. We're gonna try it. That's why we're here. If it looks bad, don't come for me. Thank you so much. I'm gonna just fold her. Get some of my bronzer. This is the MAC Give Me Sun, per usual. And cute. First doing a line, because I don't know how else to go about this. My bronzer I like to warm up my skin with and then use the Hoola to kind of contour. I don't mind this. I'm shocked that I'm putting on bronzer with this puff, but I don't mind this. It doesn't look bad. I feel like it's blended, actually. Sometimes I don't even feel like my brush blends it this well. What do you guys think? I almost did the other side. I'll run a little down my nose. I'll definitely contour with my brush, with the with the Hoola, like I always do, but I just wanted to see this. Again, I'm taking this corner where like nothing's on it, and I'm just kind of blending. I don't mind this. That's really weird, but I don't mind this at all. Okay, I don't know, I don't have as much faith in this one, but let's just try it. I'm just like, Okay, great. I'm also not self-tan right now, so the bronzer looks pretty orange. But that's not the puff's fault, that's my fault. Yeah, it definitely doesn't blend as well. The color doesn't disappear like on this side. Yeah, it doesn't look as good. That's fine though. Let me just fix her with this one. This is definitely worth it, I would say, so far. I really love this, and this would be amazing to keep in your purse for touch-up. So let's go in now, and we're going to do our highlight first before our blush. This is the Jaclyn Hill Flash Palette that I've showed you guys. And I normally mix them, but let's see how we can apply it with this puff. Let's try the little mini puff. I'm going to fold her, and I'm just going to go in, and I'll just dip it in, and press her on. Wow. Okay, this is life-changing. That looked so melted into my skin. I didn't even have to do anything. I could have just left that after the first press. Let's try a little on her nose. Honestly, I love the fabric that she used. I really like it a lot. Okay, let's see if this one does the same thing. I don't think it will, but that's fine. Let's try it. It definitely spreads it out in a bigger surface, and it still had the powder on there that we used for the under eyes, so it just spread. So let's go in with this and try to fix it. It puts it so specific to where you press it, and then it like automatically blends it for you, and it does not put anything that you had on it previous down. I like that. I really like this. I just love the texture. I love that I can just go in here, tap this, tap here. I kind of feel like a clown because I feel like it puts on my powder super heavy under here, the pink powder. I would have to switch to a powder that's more my skin tone if I wanted to set my under eyes with it, and then just bake with the translucent to brighten. I do want to switch up my routine, so I'll probably be trying, a few things till I find what works for me, because I have been wanting to try a different under eye powder. We have the Hoola bronzer that I normally contour with, and I'm just going to go in with the brush for that one. I love this brush for the contour because it's slanted, so it just fits right here in my cheekbone. I could put it on with the puff, but I just kind of want a little chisel, so you don't have to use the puff for everything. I'm just using it for as many things as I can to test it for you guys. Okay, our last step is blush. I don't know how I'm going to feel about applying my blush with this, but we're going to see, and hopefully it can be fixed if it looks ugly. I'm going to take the original one, and I'm just going to use the wider corner, dip it in my MAC Floor Power, and just tap it on. Oh, I don't mind this at all. This looks so good. I cannot believe this. This looks better than when I put it on with a brush. Wow, are you guys seeing this? And you can just keep putting as much as you want, like however many layers you want. You put too much, use the other side, tap it. Okay, let's hope that this works just as well. Let's find a clean corner. That's the thing about this, it has less clean corners than this one to use. I'm gonna go in with this corner, pick up a little bit. Oh, this isn't bad either. I definitely can see a difference in the two sponges as far as like the Tati one. It blends everything like so seamless. Whereas this one takes a little longer. It does get blended the same, but it takes longer to do so. Like how I always explain to you guys how my Fenty sponge, it like blends my under eye concealer and doesn't leave any like the harsh lines with just tapping it. This looks really good. I'm so surprised. I'm really excited about this. So now let's set our whole face, and this will be like the test to see, is it as heavy, is it as powdery? I'm going to use my Morphe setting spray. And let's give this a minute to dry, and then we'll see how it looks. Honestly, I think it looks amazing. I don't see any differences in how I normally do my makeup. The only thing is my under eye looks a little brighter, so it kind of looks chalky to me, because I do use like a little bit of a brighter under eye powder. Overall, I think it's totally worth it. I love this so much. I kind of just want to keep exploring and keep trying different things with it to kind of see like what routine works best for me. You know, do I prefer a brush for bronzer and use this for everything else? That kind of thing. But overall, this beats this. Okay, so I'm so excited. So what I'm going to do is finish the rest of my face and come back and we'll wrap this up. Okay, I completed my face, and overall, I really love how this performed. I think that my face looks the same, if not better, as it normally does. You be the judge. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you saw a difference. I really like how it looks. I feel like my face looks more airbrushed, more smooth, more blended. I really like it. I'm going to continue testing it out and seeing, you know, like what my favorite is, if it's liquids, if it's powders with it, concealer, foundation, all that. I'm going to keep testing it out. I highly recommend you guys checking this out. It's $18 for two, and you actually can wash these. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but if you put this in a delicate bag and put the washer on a delicate cycle, you can wash this in your washing machine, or just wash it at the sink like you normally do your beauty blenders, and just take a little bar of soap or like the beauty blender shampoo, baby shampoo, and just gently massage it and then let it dry. She did say if you're anxious to use it but you washed it, that you can blow dry it, but just do it from far away. I think that's really cool because sometimes you have to wait forever for your beauty blenders if you like wash them and you want to use them with powders and then they're too damp. You get the point. But I highly recommend checking this out. I think it's totally worth it. And I might actually buy her eyeshadow palette and test that out as well. Leave me a comment down below if you guys think you're going to pick this up, or if you already have and you've tried it. Let me know your opinion on it. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.